This episode is being brought to you by Adele's Surf Spot, where you can treat yourself to fabulous milkshakes, good burgers, and Adele's famous fries. In her own words, you'll love them. Time to start the show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tribunal of the Grid, where we talk about all things Power Rangers, including the actors that play them. My name is Brandon.
I am Lena.
I'm Will.
Obviously.
And today I can't say my name. So
Brandon is having a hard time introducing all of us. Welcome back to our show, everyone.
Oh my God. Oh, that was great. That was really good. Okay. Woo. So today is, I was sitting down thinking, and Lena asked me earlier today, she was like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good question because nothing really happens, right?
Nothing.
So I'm like, right, like nothing really happens. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's talk about these dinos because this is the fourth time we're getting dinosaurs. And I'm like, we could easily just talk about the previous ones, which ones we think were better than others, I'm not saying that any of them were bad because, all dinos matter. So.
What? Wow.
So, because all dinos matter, we are going to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Dino Thunder, and Dino Charge. Yes, we are. Now, first of all, a lot of these seasons have things that work, things that don't work, and things that are kind of like, I can see where you're going with this. Now, what would be your, if you were to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this show today, which one would you go towards first?
Yes, Dino Thunder.
It's only 3.
I know. I like all 3 of them.
Really?
Damn. Yes, really. I probably would go. Gosh, I hate this because of how just overblown it is, but probably Mighty Morphin because it's the most familiar to me, and it has a special place in my heart, obviously, because it's the beginning.
I mean, Will, it's okay. It is completely okay to be unoriginal. It's totally fine.
Oh,
I'm just playing with you. But no, I'm with Lena. It would be Dino Thunder for me. It just told the best story all the way around. It was just like story, characters, the jokes, just everything about it was fire. Now, as far as the suits are concerned, let's get into these suits, baby. Let's get into these suits. Now, Mighty Morphin for me, when it comes to the suits, I'm in love with the suits. The suits just look they don't have much going on. They're extremely simple, but they work because they're so simple. You just have the diamonds on the chest, the diamonds on the cuffs, the diamonds on the boots, and a cute little, motif helmet thing, and you're good. It's literally that simple. And it just, I don't know if it's because of because it's the original, and I guess it's the most well-known and the most used, obviously. But I don't know. It's just something about that look that just screams iconic to me. It just gives off that flair. What do you guys think? What do you think about the Mighty Morphin suits? Does it give you what you need? Does it give you that fire, or you just kind of yes? It's here.
For me. It reminds me of something. I can't think of what it is right now. But yeah, it didn't really give me that like, ooh, like I like
Mhm.
that. But it's
Now, I
definitely
do have
the
a
most like recognized suit ever.
right. Now, I will ask you this. Did you like more of the movie suit, like from the 1995 movie? Or was it just overall, it's just like, it's a chop?
I definitely did like the movie suit way more. I think because it had that cool like futuristic look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Prefer the ninja suits because I felt that was very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be my ranking if I had to rank it. It would be movie, ninja, and then the original suits.
Got you. Got you. Okay. I feel you. Will, I know you probably gonna be like, yeah, I think they the junk, they the junk. Go ahead. I know.
Yeah, they're I feel that they are iconic. Like the whole layout with the diamonds, the white diamonds in the middle of the chest, and then the diamonds on the cuffs of the boots and the gloves. Like it's just, oh God, so beautiful. And then the helmets. I love all five of the helmet, or I guess including green. That was really cool too. His helmet, and then his suit was different with instead of the full diamonds, he had the half diamonds on the boots and the gloves and his shield. Oh, I love those suits.
You all
Beautiful to
can't
me.
tell, but I'm shaking my head right now. Shaking my head and cringing.
Oh God.
I don't know how he thought that was beautiful, but okay.
Wow.
And it was, even though technically they were with the Thunder's words by this point, but it was cool the way that the White Ranger suit fit with the even though the theme was different with the way that they looked, that suit still fit with the original five, I thought.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was no way. Like, I don't ever foresee that ever happening ever again. Like, it was just perfectly timed the way they did that, because they had both animal motifs right behind each other. And it just so happened that one team was dinosaurs and then the next team was mythical beast. Like, it just fit perfectly, like right there. It's like, yes, just take white from this team, put it with the Mighty Morphin team, boom, synergy. So I can see that. I can see that. Now, Lena, I'm sorry, but I kind of have to disagree with you a little bit. Green was fabulous. Now, I love me some Green. Like, even though I'm not the biggest Tommy fan, as a matter of fact, I'm not a fan, but the Green Ranger, I have to be honest, like, that was my moment. As I said before on the show, like, Green Ranger for me was like, yes, God. Like, I loved the Green Ranger. And I don't know, like, his suit for me, I liked the half diamond because they kind of remind me of T. So I
Mm.
really liked the half diamonds on the cuffs. I always thought that his helmet was gorgeous. Like, it was just something about the Green Ranger's helmet that it looked just like the other team members, but it still kind of gave you a flair of like, he is not one of them. Like, he is not an original member of the original five. Like, he's not one of them. And I'm just like, he just looks amazing. I like it. Um Now, which one do I like more? Do I like Silver Stripe or No Stripe?
Oh
I like
God.
Silver Stripe, but
Ew.
I like Silver Stripe. I do. But I really do like the Green Ranger. I really like his suit. I think his suit is really cool. But yeah, I can see where you're going to as well, Will. The Ranger suits, especially the helmets, they, to me, they were the most simple, but they did their purpose. Like they showed you what animal it was who. It wasn't like ambiguous in a sense, and it didn't all look the same, which is where we're gonna go with Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder had nothing, like they didn't have the helmets, did not have no, they didn't seem different to me. Like they just kind of, like they had the different visor, obviously, but all the helmets just kind of felt the same with the exception of Ethan's. Like they just kind of all felt the same. Like, what do you guys think? What do you think about the suits and the helmets for Dino Thunder?
They definitely all seem the same, but I think that's what I liked about it was the fact that they were identical to each other, just with different different colors. And I did notice that their helmets were slightly different. I think what I liked about it too is that it had those like nice super stripes to them. I don't know, I just like that. I don't know what it was about Dino Thunder. I remember the first time I ever seen it, I loved everything about it. I love the suits. I love the way it looked. I love what the suits can do. And you know, like they offer way more than Mighty Morphin couldn't have offered. Like, you know how they were able to go into like, what was it called again? Like the super mode?
Super Dynamo, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't ever recall Mighty Morphin was able to do that. So that was really, really cool on their end. And of course, like the fact that each of the actual suits allow them, or the gems allow them to have additional powers to what they already were. Where with Mighty Morphin, I just felt like none of them had extra powers. It was just like,
the metallic armor later on, but that was with the
that was
ninja
really
coins,
cool.
but
they were wearing glitter.
Yeah.
Let's not. Let's not do that. Well, what do you think, Will? What do you think about the Dino Thunder suits?
Oh man, I remember the first time that I saw them. I was a bit removed from the show at this point, but I saw that they were going back to dinosaurs, and Blue and Red were once again the Tyrannosaurus and the Triceratops, respectively. And I thought that was kind of cool that they were, I'm assuming, paying homage to Ranger and MMPR, because of like those two things are kind of too much of a coincidence not to be playing homage to it. The helmets, I guess, Brandon, were you saying that you thought that they were really similar because of how round they are?
No, like they didn't have many differences to let you know, like, this one is like akin to this animal, or like they weren't really like noticeable. It was just kind of like you had the eyes, you had certain grooves there. For the Triceratops, you had the horns, and that was it. Like it was just like, oh, you just had to have known the show in order to understand what dinosaur they were. Unlike with Mighty Morphin, like you already knew just by looking at the helmet, okay, that one is Tyrannosaurus, that one is, pterodactyl, that one is a saber-tooth tiger. Whereas with Dino Thunder, you really had to look at the helmet and be like, okay, now if I didn't know this show and I didn't know these characters, what dinosaur is this? Like you really didn't really know.
Yeah, the actual suits themselves, I thought that they were kind of a remix of the MMPR suits. Instead of having the diamonds like in the middle of the suits, they were kind of going from the shoulders to down the arms and then down the sides of the legs. So that looked pretty cool. Then Tommy, the Black Ranger, that was really cool looking too, because he was basically the same The difference being having the gold shoulder pads instead of the white grooves on the sides of the suit. Yeah, gold, black and gold really works lovely together, as we've seen in the history of Power Rangers.
Because we love a good shoulder pad. We love a good shoulder pad.
And his helmet, I didn't love his helmet though.
Didn't either. I didn't either. It took
But
a
it's
while for it to grow on me. It
yeah,
had to
but
grow on me.
it's supposed to be the brontosaurus?
No,
Brontosaurus?
Brachiosaurus. Yeah, Brachio.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that the little whatever the thing is on the head kind of threw me off, and then I think on the sides of the helmet there were little grooves coming out on the sides of the helmet, I think. Not the biggest fan of that helmet, but I like the suit. And then Trent's was just so cool, the White Ranger. You could tell that it was an evil ranger because of the red visor.
Right.
You have the pure white, and then it has the red visor, and then the black outline, and then the black in the middle. I don't know what those things are called on a dinosaur. It almost looks like a fin, but on the head. And then his actual suit was really cool. Of course, the majority white, and then he has the grooves, but they're kind of in a different pattern, and they're in black going down the sleeves and down the sides of the legs. And then he has kind of a shield, more of a shield. Yeah, I guess more of a shield that's white, black, and gold. That looked really cool. I thought that all the suits together looked really good.
Yeah, they do kind of like they do gel well together. So I think that's what makes Dino Thunder suits like. I think that's what makes them actually work, is the fact that they all have a basic look to them. So like they're all they work as a unit to form to all correlate in their basicness, if that makes any sense. That comes off really bad. But I'm not saying basic in a bad way, but they do kind of give that feel of this is very simple, but it works.
Or unity. It gives them more of a
Right.
vibe. You know, like
Right.
I don't know. I remember just always loving that. I think the other thing I really liked about it too is like, although they were unmorphed, they were very like not with each other. I'm not sure if this happened or am I going crazy, but I noticed that when they were morphed, they were always helping each other out in like a unity.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like
Absolutely.
nice. You know how like some teams, even though when they were morphed, they're still fighting. So maybe like I don't know, in an odd way, like their uniform being as simple as it was, and the fact that they're all very unified defines their team as being like they are able to put aside their differences and solve the problem at hand.
Yeah, actually, I've never actually thought of it like that. But you bring up a really good point, and I think that is what made Dino Thunder such a good season. Is the fact that they didn't start out as friends. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't start out like exactly like they didn't start out liking each other whatsoever. But when it was time, right? They made it very clear. You know, it's like, I don't like you at all. But on the same token, I'm going to make sure that when we're fighting Mesogog, we're going to work together. So I really enjoyed that dynamic of the show. And slowly but surely, they ended up becoming to a point where they could be friends and still be together outside of just being Rangers.
Yeah.
So that felt more organic than we're just regular smuggler little friends. For sure. Now, I will say this. When it comes to the suits for me, I personally did not care for the Super Dino mode on some of them. I like the idea, but the Super Dino mode on some of them just looked jank. I did not like Tommy's Super Dino mode. It just looked like the
Me
gold spikes
too.
looked weird.
I did not like it on Tommy. I don't know. Maybe it's just I just didn't like Tommy, period. But whenever he was not there, I was pretty happy about it.
Like everybody else's was fine to me. Like I was like, oh, okay, these are decent. Like they're okay. But Tommy's with the gold spikes, I was like, this looks really weird to me. I don't like it. And what is up with this jug handle thing on his helmet? I never understood that. But it literally looked like a jug handle where you can just like grab it and just like,
I'm dead.
water your plants with it. I was like, what is this?
Speaking of Super Dino mode, to me, I didn't really like it. It looks weird. Looking at it again, it's reminding me of how I felt when I first watched it. And I was just looking at it like, okay, this is a thing, okay. But it just looked weird. having the ridges of the on the sides of the arm. The arms and the legs, or just the arm? The arms and the legs.
Arms and the legs.
Pop out. Just pop out. It looked kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, for certain ones, I was like, I'm okay with it. Like for certain ones. Because I liked the core 3, and I really liked Trent with the black and like how he got kind of like these like blades coming out his hands. Kind of like Wolverine. Like I really liked that. I was like, oh, that's dope. But Tommy's, for some reason, I was like, ew. I was like,
ew. Can you guys see the trend right here? Tommy train, not a bore. Not a bore.
It's like, what is this? I don't like it. No.
No.
But
no, I just felt like overall, like, I know everyone was really excited when he was back. And I think I was for a little bit that I was excited he was back. But I think as the show went on, I personally just felt like everything he was doing was just cringy. Like, him becoming a Ranger again, cringy. You know, like him morphing, very cringy. Him being all like, oh, I look great in all colors, extremely cringy. And like, I'm not sure if you guys remember that scene where he's like, I guess I look good in black turtle. I can't remember what the actual quote was, but like I just remember thinking like, really now? Really? Like, why couldn't he?
Did he say he has to buy black?
yeah, I think it was like he has to now add black into his wardrobe or something like that.
Yeah, something so stupid. I'm just like, so cringy. Why can't you stay as a mentor? Why must he have to become a freaking ranger again? Like, they weren't wrong when they're like, aren't you a little old for this? Dude, aren't you?
Now you're being ageist. You're being ageist now.
You know what?
Rangers should be any age. We had an old ranger.
Rangers can be any
Albert.
age. I mean, he can be any age. Let me be clear. It's not about ageism. It's just about Tommy being old.
Yeah, you have...
can definitely be a ranger. By all means, Albert. Do you, boo. But Tommy, you need to stop becoming fucking rangers. Over and over.
Well, it's stopped at this point, so...
For now.
No.
Import dragon. Like, what?
Oh, yeah, right.
Remember? How did you forget?
Because he's a whole Lord Draken. This ain't stopped.
You know, now he's got so many bloody morphers. He can do whatever he wants.
And he has like mad forms too, as Lord Draken. Like he has like almost like 4 different forms, wasn't it? 4?
Yeah, I don't even know. But he can morph, and he's got all these extra morphers that he's been stealing from all these rangers. He can actually create rangers now. Like, what the actual... Y'all giving him way too much power. Way too much power.
I personally, like I said, when it comes to Dino Thunder, was not a fan of his Super Dino mode, but I did like his suit overall. Like, I did like it, but as soon as he went Super Dino mode, I was like, oh, this thing is ugly. Because I just couldn't stand those spikes. And like I said, the milk jug helmet, just, I mean, from looking at it from the front, I'm like, yes, good job. But as soon as you look at that thing from the side, you're like, ew, what is this? now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna segue into Dino Thunder. Not Dino Thunder, Jesus, Dino Charge.
Yeah, I have that problem too.
I do it all the time, all the time. Now, Dino Charge, that was the suit that I was like, oh, this is too much. This is too much. Like,
Yeah,
it was literally sensory overload for me. I mean, from the arms being like scaly, and then the helmets just looking like big mouths, and it was just too much. It was too much. I was like, no. And first of all, I am not a fan of sashes. I hate sashes. They remind me of pageant queens. I am not. Me and Power Rangers and pageant queens have no place together. I'm like, no, these sashes have got to go. I am not a fan. Just overall, I just did not like the Dino Charge suits. They just looked weird to me. I still haven't gotten used to them, to be honest. They are like some of the worst suits in Power Rangers creation, in my opinion. Like, what do you guys think?
They're definitely busy. I still remember the first time that I saw them was, I probably did see them before Morphicon, when the cast was unveiled. But I of course vividly remember seeing all of them in the suits, and I didn't hate it then. They look so pretty in them. But as far as like on the show, it was really I don't know if festive is the right word, because I'm thinking of like in some of the Sentai footage where there was a lot going on, like in a battle, and then they would be doing either their weapons finisher, or they would be doing some sort of a special move and the whole background would change, or they would have some sort of a pyro behind it. It really, I guess festive may be the word, because it looked like it was like we were watching a party or something.
This is true.
I don't hate them. There's just a lot going on with them. And then I would get confused sometimes because one of their battle forms looks a bit different, and it would happen like randomly, and then I'd be like, wait, did something just change, or is that their regular suit? And then like that would throw me off sometimes. And then when they got, if I remember correctly, when they got into the Zords, that's when they would have the silver, like I guess a shield and things on the legs, and then they would lose a little mouthpiece, and their helmet would just be black. Was that only in the Zords?
Yeah, that was only a Zord thing.
Okay,
that was like an upgrade.
Mm-hmm. That was something that also threw me off, because like, why?
Right.
And why not be able to use that when they were fighting? Did they ever?
No, never.
Okay. It was just solely for the Zords, just like they did with like in Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Which those looked so much better than the regular suits, I thought, but
Hello. That's a fact.
But
Those look so much better.
But yeah, and then there's just so many Rangers this season. Oh my god. I didn't like Tyler's I forgot which form it's called, but it's some sort of a power up with yellow in it.
You're talking about when he used the two different like the two different dinos and kind of like combined them together.
It's a chomper thing. I forgot. Yeah. I didn't like that. I'll take the regular form over that one. The other the extra Rangers, I liked Sir Ivan's suit compared to the other ones. I thought that like the extraness of it works for him, and it seemed like that. That's what's weird with having the whole team have stuff that like pops out. I'm so used to it being exclusive to like a Six Ranger. So for the whole team to have that, it's just like an overload. But
Right.
I liked it on the Gold Ranger. It definitely worked for him. He had little wings on his back that were attached to his shoulder pad thingies. I thought his looked cool compared to the other ones. And then I think most of the other ones they looked like the core five. I liked Kendall's suit for sure, the purple. And it was cool that we got to see Albert as the Purple Ranger too. So we got to see that suit as both a male and female version. Real
Okay.
quick, dare I say Kendall's is actually my favorite look, my favorite suit. I think so. Yeah, I think
I
so. Go
mean,
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, in the actual Japanese version, Kyoruger,
Mhm.
in actuality, two of them were no. Let me see, one, two. I want to say two of them, if I can remember correctly. Two of them were dead. Was it two? I believe it was two. Yes, I think it was two. Two of them were actually dead. And that's why their chest stripes, whatever you want to call them, were a different color other than orange. They were like gold. It was
Okay.
because they were dead. So like they were called Spirit Rangers. like Jungle Fury. So they actually had like a different color stripe and all of that, just to show that they weren't alive anymore. Whereas everybody else had like the orange stripes. Also, too, what I liked was that towards the end, which did not happen on Power Rangers, but in the Japanese version, they ended up gender bending a couple of the other Rangers. Like they gender bended the Aqua Ranger because the Blue Ranger, his sister, I want to say, she became a Ranger. So she took over from the dead Ranger. She took over for him. And then the Graphite Ranger, his, I want to say his ancestor who came after him, took over for him. So he ended up becoming becoming the current Graphite Ranger. So they all ended up kind of like, well, Aqua ended up gender bended like purple. But I thought that was really cool, and I was hoping that maybe we could have gotten something like that in Power Rangers 2, kind of gotten some more gender bending going on. But obviously that didn't happen, which is okay. But overall,
I personally felt there was way too much going on, just like Will said. And because there was just so much going on, I just felt like I couldn't focus on which Ranger suit I like better. But then looking at the photo, I realized they're all exactly the same. In an odd way, they just never really stood out for me, too. I did like their Ivan suit a lot. I remember that one stood out the most for me, and Graphite Rangers. Because I guess because of the colors, I'm not sure. But I remember those two stood out the most for me, but the rest of them looked identical to each other. And
right.
I think just overall, like, it was just a lot going on. So I wasn't able to focus on any one of them in particular because the moment we got introduced to one ranger, we got another ranger, then we got another ranger, then we got another ranger, and I'm like, I'm confused. How many rangers are we getting this season? And of course, because I didn't watch the Japanese series like you did, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't realize we're gonna have that many rangers.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know how when you have too many options, you don't know what to do. That was like me with Down Chart.
Yeah.
I had way too many options, and I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like, I'm just confuzzled. And I think the storyline was all over the place too because they're trying to make it all connect, but then some of it doesn't make sense. Some of it does make sense. I don't know. I just remember thinking it was just everywhere. I just couldn't focus on one thing at a time.
Right. No, I feel you.
Just confuzzled, but I do like the regular format, just like what Will was saying. When they went to the other modes, no idea. also because I was really distracted by all the colors. I didn't even notice there was different modes. Frankly, I didn't even notice there was different modes until you brought this up. And I didn't realize that when they were in the sword, they had slightly different changes. Also didn't realize that either. But could also be because I was super distracted by all the extra colors that was going on.
Yeah, it was a lot. And like them, that's one thing I didn't really care for, because I understood they were trying to sell toys, obviously. So they had like the different modes that they could do, and that they only had when they were in the actual Megazords, and that was it. But my whole thing is, I'm like, with the same idea with Samurai and with Ninja Steel, why are you only having these Zord exclusive battle armor? Like, they are piloting Zords. They don't need battle armor in the Zords. They need battle armor when they fight. Like, why are we wearing extra armor to pilot a Zord? That makes no sense to me. I never understood that concept. And with Samurai, even though it was beautiful, I feel like it introduced a concept that I'm like, this should have never came. Granted, like I said, it's beautiful. It's stunning to look at. But at least with the ending of Samurai, at least we got the Red Ranger fighting in the Samurai suit that he used to pilot one of the more powerful Zords. At least he used that in the finale. The other seasons never used their power-ups outside of the Zords. Like, they never did. So it was just like, what are the reasons why you have this? Like, it just makes no sense. So that's my gist on that. But overall, I just kind of, like you said, I'm not going to go back into it, but just overall, like we've been saying, the suits are just really busy. There's a lot going on, and I was just like, I'm not feeling it at all. But to, I guess, take it a little bit further, now, when it comes to the stories of these seasons, now, I know you're going to be like, well, Mighty Morphin is what I'm most familiar with, whatever. I know. But I do want to ask you guys, when it comes to the story with Mighty Morphin, and we know that Mighty Morphin was the first. And also, too, a lot of people give it leeway because it was the first, and they're a little more like accessible because it's like, well, it was first, and the people didn't really know what they were doing, which is not really an excuse, but they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't know how they wanted to form the show, and it was the first time ever working with footage and all that stuff. So be a little more kind to it. What do you guys think as far as the story of the show? Like, what do you guys think for Mighty Morphin?
For Mighty Morphin, I think that there was a lot going on, and what was that?
No, and I was gonna say I agree with you. There's a lot going on, but I also felt like they didn't have a continuous storyline other than the Tommy story. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know it's like
not. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, carried on to each. Like, it would if they did carry on, it would carry on for like one more episode. That was it. But like, no other storyline really carried on. Like, Kimberly knowing sign language, that never carried on to any of the other episodes. I'm trying to think of another example, but yeah, like other than the Tommy storyline, nothing carried forward. So I just felt like it was all over the place. There was no set. The only thing that they were clear on was the fact that it was Power Rangers versus the evil guys, and the Power Rangers had to win. So that was the only thing that was like consistent. But throughout the whole show, they were very consistent as to like what they wanted these characters to be, in the sense of like, you got Kimberly knowing like sign language, you got Kimberly being the Valley Girl, you got Kimberly being the shopaholic, you got Kimberly being the flower girl, you got Kimberly being the gymnast again, and then it was just like all over the place. Like I'm only saying Kimberly because like I remember her, obviously aside from everyone else, she had like the most storyline too, but like various storylines.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was one of my main things for Mighty Morphin. And like I said, like, and of course I have these conversations all the time on the internet when people be like, you know,
Mighty Morphin's the best.
Yeah, and like, oh my god, they're the best storyline. They had the best characters on. I'm like,
what storyline?
No, they didn't. Exactly. What storyline did they have? Because it was extreme. It was so episodic to the point where nothing gelled. Nothing. It was like really nothing happened. Like the most influential things that happened in the show were Green with Evil and Doomsday. Those are the most important episodes of Mighty Morphin. Everything else was just kind of like, yeah. I mean, they just kind of happened. Even if you look at any of the other episodes that kind of happened in between that kind of had two-parters or something like that, they didn't really have substantial reason for being there. It was just like they didn't really tell a story. So my whole thing is, it's just like I'm mainly the type that when I watch shows, and I've always been like this ever since I was a kid, and I think that's the reason why I became an actor. For me, I love story. I love storytelling. I love reading stories. I'm so into stories. They fuel me. I love them. So for me, even though I loved Power Rangers and I love Mighty Morphin, I genuinely actually do like Mighty Morphin. But for me, I can't sit back and say Mighty Morphin was a great season as far as story. I can't say that.
I agree with you.
Right.
Like, yes. I can't say that.
So for me, now are we talking about? I guess we're talking about the entire series because they literally had the suits the entire 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always rough for me to rank Mighty Morphin because it has the unfair advantage of lasting for 3 seasons, and then each season is so different.
Yeah.
I feel like with the 3rd season is when they started writing, and there was a shift creatively. You could tell just by watching an episode compared to watching in the first 2 seasons. And even in the 2nd season, I remember in the very beginning, it seemed like they were trying to start to go somewhere a little bit different compared to the 1st season, but then all the stuff with the cast happened, and then we got nonstop 2-parters all the time that didn't really correlate into anything. But season 1, I just remember it being, like you said, a lot of standalone episodes. It was very episodic. We got the Green with Evil arc, which was our first time really having multiple episodes connected. And then when Tommy lost his powers, that was another thing.
Right.
Was that the Green Candle. And that was kind of cool that stretched all the way to the 2nd season with Jason's arc of, damn, you can't even really call it an arc because they didn't stay with it.
Exactly. So you might as well just be like Jason standalone because because he didn't have nothing, no arcs.
Yeah. Later on, he felt so terrible, as a leader for letting his ranger lose his powers. He blamed himself.
Which I mean, cool, honestly, looking back at that episode and looking back at that fight, like, I don't see how in the world. I mean, I understood why he blamed himself, but at the same time, it was like, bruh, like, if you were morphed, maybe you probably would have won if you were morphed. But you were fighting Godar, like, without your powers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were fighting him unmorphed.
Yeah, he's just being hard on himself because he's the leader. And I wish
right. And like I said, I understood the reason why. I understood the reason why he was hard on himself. But still, it was like, dude, like, this is like Goldar before they dumbed him down. Like, before they made him a bumbling idiot. Like, that Goldar, yes. if he would have lost against that Goldar, yes, I would be like, bruh, you real lame for that, and you deserve to be upset with yourself. But
Damn.
he was fighting like, I'm so serious, because that Goldar was just like weak in comparison to the original Goldar, which was like, he was like an actual formidable opponent. So it was like, there was no way he could have won without his powers. There was no way. So, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I mean, you can't really be too hard on yourself. But, I mean, I understood where he was coming from, for sure. Yeah.
And, yeah, I guess as far as, like, of arcs in the first season, it was, like you said, it was the Green Ranger stuff, and then, which got two different things, and then the Doomsday arc. And then from there, we got the changing of the Zord. Well, not the, that was an episode title. The intro to Lord Zed, them getting the Thunder Zords, which was cool. And then Tommy dealing with not having his powers. Oh yeah, he can't. I forgot. Season 1 got another Tommy, another Tommy arc with him coming back and being at like what, half power, or is that being generous?
He had powers, but they weren't at full strength. But he was like, you might as well say he was fully powered.
And then dealing with having issues with his powers that whole time, and then losing his powers finally. We had the White Ranger arc, and then for me, that's when that was like, for me, I don't. Season 2 is really rough for me because I felt like they really were trying out some cool stuff initially, and then the stuff with the cash just like screwed everything up because they were trying to scramble and find their way again, and it was just messy. A lot of those those later season 2 episodes just it's hard for me. And then with season 3, I felt like it had a better flow, and they had things planned out a bit better with all of the arcs that they had. And that's probably the best actual content-wise season of Mighty Morphin.
Oh yeah, storyline wise, for sure. Like they really amped it up, and I mean they had to, because one of their biggest players was leaving. Like Amy Jo at that point was like, she was the star. You might as well say, like, she, besides JDF, like, she was the star. So it was like, obviously they really had to really bring it home. And it just so happened that Catherine Sutherland came in at just the right time, because they were like, Pink is one of the like biggest and best characters in the show. So not only do we have to really, make this grandiose gesture of having her leave, but we also have to make this even bigger grandiose gesture for this new girl to try to make everybody like her just as much as we liked Amy Jo. Because honestly, to be truthfully honest with you, when the original 3 left, they tried to do all that stuff with the Stone Canyon trio, but to be truthfully honest with you, like, they didn't really give all the glitz and glamour to those 3 the way they did for Catherine. I mean, had Catherine,
heck no,
talking to monkeys and like, okay, honey, they had her talking
She had
to
a
monkeys.
full-on character, like a character arc, just within those first few episodes before she was even a ranger.
Like, not only did they give her a full character arc, but they literally made her like the all-American girl, and she wasn't even American. Like, I mean, they literally just gave her everything and was like, okay, this girl can literally do anything. Because, Kimberly was like, her bar was so high that it was like, we have to either make her bar higher or try to get her somewhat close. Because Catherine she was a diver, she was a dancer, She could talk to monkeys. She was building stuff for community centers. I mean, girl was doing the most. She could sing. It was just like, what the heck can this girl not do?
Right.
You know, it was just ridiculous at some point. It was like, okay, now I understand y'all trying to make us like Catherine, and for most of us, we did. I know. Well, I didn't like her till Zio.
I didn't like her at all. I hated her as a kid. And of course we love Catherine Sutherland here. But when I was 5 years old, I hated her because she was trying to hurt Kimberly.
Yeah.
She tried to steal her man.
And then they ignored the fact that she tried to hurt Kimberly, gave her powers, made her a ranger, and then and then they tried to do the whole Cat and Tommy storyline. I'm like, ew.
Yeah, I definitely accepted her as a ranger, like by Zio as a kid,
Yes.
and then when I watched it back as an adult, I was like, wow, like I didn't even remember. I didn't fully remember her arc or how she came in because it had been so many years since I watched it, but they really gave her a lot to work with. I was actually impressed when I watched it back, and then I have a whole different respect for that character now because of all that. And I wish they would have given her more. You give somebody an intro like that, and then she just became a foil for Tommy after that. Ugh.
Basically. I mean, that was my biggest thing for Catherine. It was just like she got this big entrance, and then she literally just became a damsel in distress on Zio. Like that's literally what happened to her. And I'm like, dag, like, come on, y'all. Like, this girl was like, she was really on it in Zio. Not Zio, in Turbo. In Turbo, she was killing it. And it's just
That was
like
my favorite
Zio.
season for her, yeah.
Absolutely. Like Turbo for her was just bomb. But Zio, it was just like, what happened to you? But Mighty Morphin, they just did so much for Catherine, and they, like I said, they did so much more for her than they did the Stone Canyon Trio, which I felt like the Stone Canyon Trio just got the short end of the stick, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it had to do with the circumstance, of course. They had more time to actually plan things out because they knew Amy was leaving, as opposed to them either firing or the actors leaving on their own with the original three that left. And then they had to rush and cast 3 new people and figure all this stuff out on the fly. Like they gave some story elements or story arcs they gave to that they were going to give the original 3, or episodes at least, they ended up giving to the other Rangers, but they just still didn't have enough time to really develop each and every one of them. And then, like I said before, season 2 was just kind of a mess because of that. And you would think, like, with all those random 2-parters that they did and all the randomness of the second half of season 2, all that time could have been spent building up your characters.
Exactly. And don't even get me started on how they did Karen Ashley. Like, I mean, it was just like, y'all literally gave this girl, stop the hate master, turn her into a child, turn her into an adult, and we just saw her walking up to Ashala on the very end, like, with Ashala welcoming her into her arms. Welcome home, child. And that was it. It's like, y'all really screwed this character over. And she gave you time. Like, she actually told you, hey guys, I'm leaving, and this is how you treated it. It was just like, that's messed up. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff for Mighty Morphin I just couldn't forgive. Because it was just like, okay, like, y'all really did this big thing with Kimberly. But then with Aisha, it was just like, yeah, we just gonna have her walk on, walk on the camera and just be like, I,
That's terrible.
have her walk into Africa, which we don't even know where in Africa she was, but we just know she was in Africa. And that was it. It's just like, okay, that's the end of
Oh,
it.
it's all the same place, Brandon.
Well, there's no other, countries in the continent of Africa. I mean, Africa is just Africa, right?
Clearly that's their thought process with that.
And and by the way, everybody in Africa just wears, togas, and they live in desert remote areas, right?
Right.
Like no infrastructure, no infrastructure. They just live with lions and tigers.
And that, oh my God, I guess you could say Power Rangers was a reason why I thought that Africa was like that. I didn't find out about how like modernized and stuff Africa is until like I was a teenager.
Dead ass. Like, I grew up as a kid thinking that Africa was just this barren wasteland where just Black people lived and they lived with animals, and that was it. Like, I genuinely thought that for like years. And then literally I remember being in middle school, and my one of my teachers, he actually is from Africa. And he was talking about one of his experiences, and I'm like, excuse me, what? Like, you didn't live in a hut or something? And he was just so offended.
I can see. I was about to ask if he was. Damn.
He was so offended with me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so serious. I really did not know that. I'm not trying to be shady or nothing. I really didn't know, because on my favorite TV show, that's how they depicted it. Like,
and then so many other places depicted like that, or you see those commercials with the hungry kids,
right? Like the Feed the Children commercials. Like, they all depict Africa as like this place where everybody lives in huts and they live with animals. Like, that's really what they depicted as. So I'm like, oh, well, is that it? But I didn't learn that until years later. So, I mean, I'm just like, that's really kind of messed up. I mean, they could have at least told us where in Africa it was, or, I mean, even then, kind of give us some sort of civilization instead of just
like they literally could have. I'm thinking about how I want to say they showed Switzerland when we first found out about the peace conference, and then I'm thinking like they could have had Africa be in a city just like that. But,
I'm saying, like, they could. There was so many things they could have done, but also too, this is the '90s where they did a lot of things that were just culturally just messed up, because that was also during the time where Native American culture was such a thing. I don't know if you guys remember that, but like in the ’90s, Native American culture was like all the rage. It was like, oh, everybody, everybody has to have some kind of Native American reference in their shows. Like Walker, Texas Ranger, prime example. Like,
oh, right, wow.
like, prime example. Like, I mean, they always had some kind of, Native American, artifact in there, or like just something. And I'm like, what the heck? And then Tommy had his little thing where he had to go on his journey and find the arrow, and then in Zeo he had to find the arrowhead. Like, it was just like cultures galore. So the '90s was not an actual PC time. Did not age well when it came to cultures. But fast forward to Dino Thunder. What were some of the things about Dino Thunder that you guys liked? Like, what was the tea on that? Like, what was the likes or dislikes?
I love the cast. I really appreciated that the cast could act and and were allowed to act. I really appreciated that. I liked, as we always talk about, we just spoke about it, I love the fact that the 3 core Rangers weren't friends from the jump. and we had to watch them get comfortable with each other and work as a team. They were three different kids, but they actually seemed like real teenagers.
Yeah.
In comparison to Mighty Morphin, I remember hearing somebody say something along the lines of Dino Thunder was basically they did Mighty Morphin the right way. Just as far
Literally.
as having the kids seem like actual teenagers. They weren't the goody two shoes. They like Connor was a jerk.
Yeah.
Ethan was a smart kid, but he had a little bit of an edge to him where he did like stand up for himself, which was cool. And
He was
and
confident in who he was as.
I'm going to call her Tori. Kira,
Kira?
she was I've been thinking about Tori a lot. I don't know why. But yes, Kira. She was the rebel girl. She was the artist and she was a loner. And I like that. And she just was not impressed by Connor and his popularity. And I felt like she vibed with Ethan initially. I haven't watched him so long. That's something I need to do a
I
rewatch
mean,
of, but
I wouldn't say she was the loner per se because, like, if you recall, like in episode 1, she was like giving a performance. Like, I feel like most loners wouldn't exactly give a performance. She was definitely confident in who she was as a person. She owned it. She knew who she was. She knew what she wanted to do. She knew who she was as a person. And I think she wasn't a loner per se. I think there was just a lot of people that she couldn't stand. That she was just like, you know what, I'm way too mature for these high schoolers. But because when you look back on it, if she was a loner, she would have not performed in front of audience. And I'm sure you probably recall, like at the very beginning, where Ethan set off the sprinkler. She was sitting on the bench singing one of her songs, and they shed an audience. I feel like a loner wouldn't have that. And obviously, as we progress,
well, like a loner doesn't. When I think of a loner, I think of somebody that doesn't necessarily have a lot of friends. They don't necessarily want a lot of friends. The fact that a girl is singing, she sings well. She had a nice, catchy song. I think that would attract an audience, whether they're friends with her or not. In my
right.
opinion.
I guess because like when you say loner, when I'm thinking of a loner in high school, I'm literally thinking somebody that like tries to be away from the spotlight, that tries to be
Okay.
unnoticed. Like
Okay.
those like typical horror movies where they have their hoodie up
I'm
all the time. So
yes. As soon as you said that, I instantly thought about Veronica Mars in the
right, like
first
you know what I mean.
episode.
So when you said loner, that was my impression of it. When you said loner, I was picturing like an emo child with their hoodie up, possibly cutting themselves at night. Who knows? Perform some ritual like witch wicca like performance. Maybe pluck some of your
Wow, you're
classic
just really
hair.
going stereotypical, aren't you?
Right.
Well, you know what? To be fair, they were stereotypical way back in the days. Like let's be fair, like
Yeah.
they
This is
really
true.
like like aside from like giving all of our three main core characters a lot of confidence, which was very unusual. Remember like Billy really was not confident in himself. He was nerdy, but he wasn't confident. Um, like so I feel like with Dino Thunder, they definitely did it well. They gave each character their individuality, but they also gave them attitude. Like they were literally teenagers with attitude. They were confident,
For
they
sure.
had attitude, they were edgy, they had it all. And yeah, so like I'm not trying to stereotype, but that's pretty much what they did to these characters when they wrote them that way, especially back in like Mighty Morphin days. Like they really stereotyped them, right? And then I feel like Dino Thunder, they kind of did that too. But I guess they caught up with a bit of the, I guess, our new age or whatever you want to call it, where we had a bit of confidence and we started to own up to who we were, like especially with like Ethan's character. Yes, he was like a nerd. He loved video games. He was smart. He owned it. He knew it. And he was definitely taking advantage of the fact that he was this guy. And he was not afraid to be this guy. And he was unimpressed by the fact that, Connor calls him out on it. He's like, yeah, so what about like video games? So what? What do you like that's so impressive? And I remember that attitude. And I loved it because I'm going, yeah, that's right. What does he like that's so impressive? Soccer? Whoopie-doo. Anyone can kick around a soccer ball.
Soccer and girls.
Right. Like, so like, and then when you really look back on it, it was kind of nice to see that Connor had insecurities, like where he was like, yeah, okay, I'm considered good looking. Yeah, I'm great at soccer. Yeah, I get the girls, but like, I'm not deep. What does that mean? Like, what if she's not interested in me after that? Because I don't know a lot. So it's kind of nice to see that, like, he was dealing with his own insecurities, even though on the outside, he seemed very confident. He seemed like he knew who he was. But then on the inside, he starts to question who he was as a person, So that was kind of nice in terms of developing characters, right? Like, they stereotype them, but then I like how they try to build on them later on. And then, of course, you got Kira, who I really didn't feel like she was a loner. I felt like she was definitely searching for her crowd, and she found it with Ethan and Connor.
I can see that. I can certainly agree. Now I will say with Kira, when it comes to Kira's character, I think that Kira was the type that it wasn't just that I feel like she was just so much more immature. Not immature, more mature. Sorry, that came out terrible. But she was much more mature than they were.
Yeah.
And it was just like, she was just like, I'm unbothered. I don't want to be around you guys. I'm focused on myself being an artist. I'm focused on me. And I already know what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the others, they're just kind of like, we're just out here, shooting the shit. She's like, I don't have time for none of this. Like, y'all do whatever y'all gonna do. Which that's kind of what I really liked about Kira. Yeah. Because Kira was just that girl that was just like, bump y'all. Like, who are you? Like, I'm Kira, pour it up in this mug. Like, I mean, that's the kind of energy that she gave me. She was just like, not even in a look at me like I'm a bad chick kind of energy, but just like, she was just really confident.
Yeah.
And I love that even though she had that confidence, she still questioned it. Because like, there's that episode where coincidentally, Boom and Boom was in this episode. It was Kelson Henderson. He kind of had her second guessing herself. He was the record producer. He had her second guessing herself and was like, you should have this sound, you should have this look, you should look like this, you should sound like this. And she's like, but is that me though? And he's like, screw that. No one cares if it's you or not. Like, just do what I say and you'll make money, But she's like, I'm not going to question, but with the help of the others, obviously. She learned, like, I'm not going to question my integrity as an artist just to, be famous, which, shows a lot about who she is. Because she easily could have went with that record producer and been like, for sure, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what she did. So I think that's why I like Kira so much, is because of her maturity. Connor, the one thing I will say about Connor is that Connor, to me, I like the fact that Connor was a jerk and he stayed a jerk. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'm pretty sure people will be like, why? Why do you like that? I'll tell you why. People don't change attitudes like that overnight.
Nope, they don't.
If you are like a jerk to the core, you are going to be a jerk. Like, I mean, dude was misogynist. He was like, he was terrible. He was terrible, Your Honor. But at the same time, he learned, hey, these are things that are not good. I shouldn't do these things. Granted, he still was trying to learn even by the end of the series. He didn't just be like, I'm a changed man, guys. I'm good. No, he still was learning how to be a better man even until the end of the season. Yep. He was still learning. Yeah. And I think that's what I loved about Connor, was that he was at least trying. Like, it wasn't no situation where it was like, magically he learned a lesson and he's like, oh, I'm somebody brand new. That's not what happened. No. Because and I love that part with the ending episode with the finale where Ethan came up to him and the tree girl and was like, oh, she was on the list. And there was this whole misogynist list that Connor made up of all the bad girls that he was all the good looking, bad girls that he was gonna invite to prom. And it was just like, oh, she made it on the list. And he's like, chill out, dude. And he's like, oh, yeah. My bad. So it was just kind of like Connor was trying to change. So I really appreciated it. I really appreciated that character. And Ethan, same thing with him. Like, even though he kind of had his change kind of happened during the season, but you saw Ethan become a lot more confident in himself because he was already a confident guy, but he started to actually focus on things outside of just computers and games. Like, it was just, he started to actually look at life and everything around him and even start dating. Because I mean,
him and Cassidy, that was so random, but I liked it.
But I loved it. I loved him and Cassidy together. Even though it didn't last long, but it was still cute that they were able to get together because it changed her character.
I was just about to say that. Even he developed, which is like, oh my God. And I think I like that because it was so realistic. Like that could happen to any one of us in real life. Like it was so relatable, so realistic.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I loved about Dino Thunder. And I think that's why for me, Dino Thunder is probably the best season for me out of the three. Because it really showed the humanity of people.
Yep.
And it was just like, you rooted for those characters. I mean, I even found myself rooting for Devin. And I'm like, yo.
I always rooted for Devin.
I'm like, yo, when is Cassidy going to give this boy a chance? Like, I mean, dang, like she is really dragging him through the mud. But I found myself rooting for every single character, even the bad guys. I found myself loving them because poor Zeltrax, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, he got chumped. I loved Elsa. She was so fun.
Oh, I love Elsa. I love Elsa. Oh my God. Elsa is one of the greatest villains of all time, in my opinion. Like, I just love her.
And that exaggerated battle cry. Yeah!
Especially when she got beat up. Oh my God. Like, that scream was hilarious. When she would get beat up. Oh, it's great. But I'm like, even Elsa is like, I just love every single character. They were all just these, and like, Zeltrax was just such I felt bad for him. Like, he was the character that I just felt like they did dirty. And I understood that he was supposed to be like that because he's a villain. But I'm just like, dang, I mean.
I was hoping that when we found out that there was a relationship between him and Tommy, I was really disappointed that we found out it was just Smitty, who we had no idea who the hell that was. Like it would have made so much more sense and been so much better if it was somebody from a previous season.
Right. Well, I
But
mean,
there's
I
rumors of that could have been in the works, but it just didn't happen. But
right. But I mean, like, even then, my opinion, honestly, I still feel like Zeltrax was still handled really good, only because of the fact that here you're talking about this guy who not only did he lose his job to Dr. Oliver, then he went and he was doing an experiment, almost died, was turned into this cybernetic guard for Mesogog, betrayed by Mesogog, and ultimately gets destroyed. Like, I mean, this guy, he goes through, like, he was the one that I wanted to have a redemption arc, honestly. Like, I really wanted Zeltrax to have a redemption. I really did. And the fact that Disney decided not to give him one was like, oh, wow, they really went there. They really went there. Because it's like not everybody gets a chance to redeem themselves. Not everybody does. And they just killed Zeltrax off. And I'm like, oh, we're doing that, I see. Which I'm like, I love. I mean, I loved it, but it's just like, dag, like, I really wanted Zeltrax to win. Like, I wanted him to at least, get something. But I was glad that Elsa at least got a redemption. And, of course, Mesogog.
You know what? If I remember correctly, I don't feel like Elsa's redemption was it wasn't full. It didn't feel full to me.
No, and I think that the reason why it didn't is because they actually had like, I feel like they actually had a whole storyline about her, but they just never did it. Because from my understanding, it was rumored that, and they even kind of played this into the show a little bit, but I think it was a setup for her storyline, but they just didn't do it. Where she actually knew Dr. Oliver a long time ago. And I guess she was kind of like in love with him or something. But it was supposed to be a situation where Smitty not only lost his job, but he lost his love too, because he was in love with Elsa.
Mm-hmm.
And, Dr. Oliver took everything from him. And that's why he was so hell-bent on trying to kill him. Because it was like, you took not only my job, and you took my girl. So I think that's where they were going with it. And I think that that's why her redemption kind of felt flat. Because it was just like, I mean, she was just a regular human all this time, but, she didn't really have a connection to anybody. I mean, basically, Tommy was like, who are you?
Oh, wow.
And she's all this time, like, making googly eyes at him, like, ooh. And he's just like, who are you? So I just genuinely feel like that's what it was with Elsa.
I love the reveal, and it was either the finale or the penultimate episode. The reveal that Principal Randall was Elsa, and then her and Tommy fought in the front of the school.
Yo,
and
that mess was funny.
Yeah, and then all the kids came out and were like, "What the hell?" Like, that was awesome. I love that. That was so cool.
Tell the school board I resign. Like, when I tell you Miriama is so extra, but she's extra in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, I'm not gonna name names. I'm not doing that. But there have been actresses. There have been actresses where they weren't as good at being extra without being too extra. But with her, she nailed it perfectly. It was like she was so extra, but it was good and funny. Because even when she was Principal Randall, like, she was just oh my gosh, the stuff she would say and how extra she would say it, but still be funny. Like she was perfect. Like I think that's why I love Elsa so much. Because she was just so ruthless and mean. But funny. Because when she told Kira on the first episode, like, girl, who gonna bring you into college? What college you going to? Like, I mean, shaded her on like, what was that, the first day of school or whatever? I'm like, dang, like she is a savage, and I loved her for it.
She's one of the first people that spoke her mind with the students, like ever. Because you expect like your teacher or your principal, whatever, to encourage you, and she's like, nah.
Like, I'm gonna do the exact opposite. I'm gonna make you feel terrible about yourself.
I think, and she probably would say that it builds character.
Right.
I could see her being saying that.
Oh gosh. I love, like, when I tell you I am such a huge fan of Dino Thunder, it's just one of those seasons that I'm just like, this season is great, and there's nothing that is better than it. Like there's no other season that Dino season is, in my opinion, that is better than Dino Thunder, in my opinion.
One more thing. Something that I did not like was the Trent and Kira situation. Like they had all this chemistry, and there was this build up. She has a crush on him, and he's crushing on her back, and then boom, it's done.
It's done, yeah.
And it's never touched on again. I hated that, because it's like, you can have relationships in kid shows.
Yeah.
And shows that are geared towards boys. Like, you can do that. But this was one of the many times, and I think one of the most offensive examples of the show, acting like you can't have boys and girls having relationships on this show. You can't do that. And I just do not get it.
Why tease us with that? Why even bother bringing it up?
Who knows? Because the season before that, they had Tori and Blake. But I remember it seemed like they kind of cooled off on it, but then towards the end, they showed that they were like, I think they were actually dating, but they just never.
No, they weren't. No.
But I remember there was an episode where they still were like sweet on each other. I think it was the episode dating, where it was the episode where they were in a game show or something.
A game show. Come on, the Everybody Loves Lothar episode?
Maybe they had to fight inside of a controlled environment. And I remember Blake, he took like a hit for Tori or something like that.
Oh, I know what episode you're talking about. You are talking about Everyone Loves Lothar. So that's the episode where they were put under a spell. It was him and Cam were put under a love spell, and they both fell in love with Tori.
And but that was weird, because he already was feeling her. And then I feel like maybe after that they showed that they still liked each other, but they just didn't have
they had moments where they had moments where they were kind of like, being like, oh, we're walking together and we're talking, but they weren't dating. They weren't dating at that point.
Bad.
But you know what? I was also getting the vibe that maybe they didn't want to put them together, in the sense that like they had their mission still. Because remember, like, the brothers had their mission. Their mission was to find their parents. And
their parents were dead.
Right. But like they were looking for something else, so weren't they? Like something about their past or whatever. I remember they were looking for something. They were on their own mission. Not much I remember. And the three ninjas were on a different mission.
Because I know they decided that they wanted to leave and go on like their own quest. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
they decided they wanted to leave.
Yeah, like, and that's what I mean. Like, I think that's why they didn't try to. I think that could also be the main reasons why the characters never got together. Like, if we want to dive a little deeper, because I'm glad that you confirmed that, because I do recall like they wanted to do their own thing at some point, that they did want to stick around, and I feel like the three had to stick around because of the ninja school. So if they were going to stick around, realistically, their relationship wasn't going to last. So maybe they were definitely way more mature than we thought they were. And although they liked each other, they never acted on that because they knew that eventually things would have to part ways, you know. And the fact that they were there, they were all there under a common interest, right? And that was to obviously protect Earth and save the ninja students. And then when they did do that, Blake went on to do his own thing and, you know, became motocross famous, where Tori did her own thing and opened up a surf shop, I think, and still ran ninja school. So like I just felt like they they already knew what they had to do in life. So I felt the reason why they never got together was because of that. Was because they knew that eventually they had to part ways. So what was the point of getting involved and make it harder on everybody than just sort of keep it as it is. That was a vibe I got. I mean, of course, you guys might have a different vibe, but that was the impression I got from Tori and Blake, was that although they liked each other a lot, they also understood that they were there for a reason, and their focus remained on those goals. And as you can tell, long after that too, like, you know, when they did a recap of where they were, Blake obviously got famous and did motocross all over the world, and Tori did her own thing and was still at the ninja school too.
Right. No, and like I agree with that assessment, because it was just more so of with those two, even when they were Rangers before everything ended, I kind of just felt like they just were kind of like, oh, we like each other.
Yeah.
But not so much of let's be in a relationship. Like they were just kind of like, you know, we're crushing on each other, and that was it.
That was
whereas, whereas with Kira and Trent, it was just kind of like, ugh. I mean, we actually were like feeling each other, like we were actually like trying to like get with each other, and it just never happened.
And like,
yeah,
like
that
song about him too.
Oh my
God. Like there was a whole there was a lot going there. Like they were like they had the full intention of being together. And it just never happened. And I feel like that was the show's fault for dropping the ball on that.
It hurt my feelings so much when
I didn't care.
the prom episode where I think they were talking about prom dates, and like Kira and Trent are there when the conversation is happening, and it's like, oh, you guys don't have dates. Oh, they really did totally just drop the storyline. That was bull. I hated it.
They could have gone together still. I wish they'd done that, where they just gone together. Because like, again, I get that, like, at the end of the day, after they graduate high school, they were gonna move on, and they knew that. So I can understand if after crushing on each other so hard and wanting to get together, maybe they decided that, you know what, let's focus on saving Earth first, and then realize that they both had obviously separate ways. It was clear that Akira was always going to focus on her music, and they made that very clear from the very beginning of the season, right? And Trent and his art. So I can totally understood if like they realized in the end that although we liked each other a lot and we want to get in each other's pants, maybe it's not a great time to do it because we have the entire future ahead of us. And there are people that do that. No, they do think about that, where they're like, well, I don't want to go to school, so I don't want to go to college with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever partner you want to have. They want to be free and experience the world some more. So maybe that was the thing. And I feel like that's a very Kira thing to do too, because she seems like the type that wants to stay focused on her path and on her career and experience all that she can experience in whatever time frame that she may have. And Trent is just very, I just want to be my own little world, do my own art, do my own something, make my dad proud. That was the vibe I got from them, though. But they definitely.
Now, I will say this, Lena. I love how you tried to rationalize it, but
Right.
I love how you tried to rationalize it. I will say that for me, it definitely, there were a lot of inconsistencies which made me believe that it was just a storyline thing. Maybe they ran out of time with the story. Because it was just, there was so much information that they gave us. When those two met, it was almost kind of like on the same line, literally, the way that Kimberly and Tommy met. Like the way that Kimberly was making oogly eyes at Tommy was the same way Kira was making oogly eyes at Trent. It was just almost like, oh yeah, I am ready to jump his bone. Like I want him. And those two had that kind of like energy, if you will, for each other. Like they had that energy, even, during the time where, he became evil and they found out that Trent was the White Ranger. She was still giving us Kimberly vibes with the, well, he's not all bad. And, maybe he can be good. And, maybe, we have to try to see if he'll be good and he'll help us. And, just holding out for him and all this stuff. Like and even when he became good, there was something there, but I felt like I felt like they kind of pulled back on it. Instead of taking it all the way and actually bringing them together, they may have pulled back, maybe for a story reason, maybe because they felt like maybe this is too close to Mighty Morphin. Maybe it was something like that. But I really wish that instead of them just deteriorating it and just kind of making it fall to the wayside, I wish they would have done something like had Kira go, you know what? You lying to us. And because you lying to us so much, I don't think I can trust you. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of have them kind of just break off that way. But still have them work together and be friends. But at the same time, just be like, I can't, if I'm going to be with you, I need to be able to trust you fully. And I can't, and just kind of have that, and that's something that I could see Dino Thunder happening with. Like, I can see it.
Really valid point. That's actually a really valid point.
Yeah. I just really felt like they did something like that rather than just letting it fall off. Because even when they had future episodes with them coming back in SPD, it was almost like those two didn't even recognize the fact that they even liked each other at one point.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was just like they were just hanging out. Like, oh, we're the bestest friends. Like, it's like, no, you two actually were in, like, you actually had like the hots for each other. Like, what is happening right now?
Maybe when they came back, they were already in relationships with other people, so they definitely did
not that SPD episode where the SPD Rangers came to the future, not to the future, to the past. Not that one. They were still in high school on that one.
Right. I guess it was set around the time that they had dropped the storyline. I don't know. Like they could have at least if you didn't want to go there, you could at least have wrapped it up in a bow. Like, oh, maybe this isn't going to work.
Right. Something as simple as that.
Instead of just dropping it like that. I hated that. Because I was shipping them.
Me too. I really
wanted
them to work. What'd you say?
I can't say I did. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. I just felt like it was okay. I felt that it was kind of silly that they had the core three, and of course the girl had to be the one that kind of fell for one of the other Rangers. And that kind of like irked me a little bit, because it's like, well, why does the one girl always have to fall for another Ranger? Like look at Dino Charge. Shelby and Tyler. Mind you, though, they did have the hots for each other, and it was very obvious to the very end. And they almost kissed, and obviously they had this whole storyline where they were together or they were hanging out or whatever, right? But I think, like, for me, I was just kind of like, why does it always, like, okay, let's go back to Ninja Storm, where they had Tori falling in love with one of the new guys. So it's always a new guy, too. Do you ever notice that? It's always like, doesn't fall for the, her teammates, but it's always the first new guy that she sets her eyes on. And with Tori, it happens to be Blake, right? With who was evil too, actually, ironically. And then of course with Kara, it had to be Trent, who's evil. Because it couldn't be Dr. Oliver because he was too old for her. So it had to be Trent.
Oh, Jesus, no.
Like, there was no other Ranger. When you really think about it, there was no other Ranger. Trent was the last Ranger to join the team.
Well, pause for a second. I mean, there are girls who do fall in love with their teachers. I'm just saying.
Right. See, that could have been an interesting storyline.
No. We can't do that. There was no way they were going to do that.
Okay. Well, anyways, bottom line is, let's forget that idea for 2 seconds. But bottom line is, like, why did they have to have her fall for the next guy she sees as not her teammate? Why? Why can't she just?
I mean, she's like, you can't help who you're attracted to.
No, it's not even that.
And then not just that. Like, you're working with these people, like, all the time, risking your life with them. Like, I don't know.
I get
like,
that, right? But I guess, like, what I'm saying is, like, she didn't. Well, he wasn't a Ranger when she saw him. She followed for him. She's like, "Ooh, who's this new hot boy?" Kind of like with Kimberly, who's the new guy in town. Kind of like
I don't really see what the. I don't know. I don't see what the problem with that is. Honestly.
No, it's not the problem. I guess if we're comparing the three, if we're comparing like the seasons, from like Mighty Morphin to Down of Thunder, it's a very similar storyline. Why couldn't they made it different? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, right? It happens. I'm not denying that, and it happens more than we think it happens, right? But what I'm trying to get at is, why does she have to fall for anybody at all? Why can't she just be?
I agree with that. I actually agree with that 100%. I agree with that. 100. Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to get. Like, it could, like, what she could just be, like, and like we have the storyline so often that I'm almost over it, like going back, Mighty Morphin, Kimberly and Tommy. I know Ninja Steel's not part of the Dino series, but like Tori and Blake, and then now we got
Ninja Steel.
Yeah,
Ninja Storm.
Steel. Did I say Ninja Storm? No, I just say Ninja Storm. Tori and Blake.
You said Ninja Steel.
Did I say Ninja Steel? Oh.
Yes.
My bad.
I mean, even though they did have a couple
them.
on that too, but that couple.
Shame on them for reusing words in another season.
Right? Shame on them, because now we're gonna call Dino Fury, Dino Charge, or Dino something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, like, so I just feel like with because like Kira's character was so strong, like her character was so strong that she could have just been on her own and she still would have been great. She was still been a really good character. Like,
well, shit, she ended up on her own.
Yeah, she ended up on her own. But that's what I mean. Like she didn't have to be involved with anybody. Like, that storyline didn't even have to exist. Like, she could have just been, and her storyline would have still been just as great. Because she did end up her own. She did do her own thing. When she came back to the high school reunion, she came in by herself. She was rocking it, being all like, "Yeah, guys, how you doing?"
Right.
Like, she was fine on her own. Like, she didn't need Trent. She didn't need anybody, really. So I just thought it was so silly. Why can't she just be? She didn't have to fall for the next boy that she saw that happens to be the new kid in town because, apparently the town was so small.
That's the Power Rangers trope.
Right?
It's
so,
just
like,
a trope.
It is. So, I don't know. She could have just been, and the story would have been just as great. I think we would have loved her just the same.
Agreed. I agree with that, actually. When it comes to those two in general, I just personally hate when shows try to use the trope of the girl falling in love with the guy and her character suffers.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I I don't like when women characters, especially if they're strong women characters, end up being overtaken and end up being used as the conduit to make the male character look better, or to give the male character a story. I don't like
Damn, that shit so much.
It happens
Exactly.
all the time in Power Rangers. And this is why
all the time. That's why I'm so glad that in the 2017 movie, when remember Jason and Kimberly were supposed to get together and kiss or whatever, I'm so glad they removed the kiss because it made her a strong character. It made her a better ranger. Well, okay, not that she wasn't going to be a better ranger, but it just made her stood on her own so much more. That she wasn't crying to Jason about the fact that these girls are not bullying her, but really she was the real bully. And then, Jason being like, "Oh, come here, let me make it up to you. Let me give you a kiss. Let me
swallow your face."
Right. He's just like, "No, I was a bitch. I was a bitch."
And I agree 100%. I mean, if you look at a lot of the seasons, they do that a lot, to where they'll take away these strong women's characters and just reduce them down to the footstools for the men. I mean, to be honest, that was like the worst offender of this was Gia. That was the worst offended, the worst offense.
God.
I mean, you didn't even give the girl a storyline at all. Like, you didn't give her no character whatsoever. And then the only traits that you give her traits that only inform Jake. While Jake gets all the things. I mean, Jake was probably the most well-rounded character out of the whole entire season, like out of the whole cast. He was the most well-rounded character. And her character suffered because of him. And it's like, that shouldn't be. If you're creating a show, everybody should be able to have a piece of the pie and not have their only purpose be just as a descriptor for another character. And I felt like that's how they did Gia, and that's how a lot of women characters get treated in Power Rangers, unfortunately. Kira suffered, Gia, Haley, just like a lot of them suffer under this, and it's just like, that's not okay. And I'm really honestly hoping that it does not happen for Dino Fury, but it's just like that. It's an ongoing trend, especially when they're trying to have relationship characters. The woman always suffers, and it needs to stop, seriously. Moving right along. Lastly, we have Dino Charge. Now, this one, I was waiting to get into this one, honey, because baby, I'm sorry, Dino Charge, I had such high hopes for. Dino Charge, it was one of those seasons that it started out so good. So good. That premiere.
Yeah.
The way they introduced each character, and the fact that you had the first ever Black Pink Ranger, and she carried the show. Like, she carried the first episode on her back. Like, she really did. Like, Camille carried the first episode on her back by herself. Like, when her character was introduced, she carried the episode from then on out. Because basically her character, it was linked. Like, she basically kind of brought the team together because her character introduced everybody else and informed you of who everybody else is. And because Camille is such a great actress, she was able to tell that story while also making herself look good, but not making herself the star. And it was just, the writing of that episode was just so good. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great season. And the first couple of episodes were great. I mean, they were really good episodes. And somewhere down the line, all of a sudden, we just went from like, okay, this is good. This is great, to, oh, this is, okay, I can see what you're doing. Okay. Then to, that's a choice. To, okay, what the hell is going on? to, oh my God, please, I can't do this anymore. Like, that was literally the track of Dino Charge. And y'all help me out. Like, what? Please tell me what y'all think. What do you think?
Well, Lena's going to agree with you there, but I had fun. I I watched I think I watched the entire first season, and then I started to fall off with Dino Supercharge, but I recently went back and watched it in full. I think you guys remember when I was doing that. That was a little while ago, and I had a lot of fun. And I guess it's because of how bad the seasons surrounding it were.
I think that's why you're giving it such high praise, but okay.
Yeah, I guess that could be a reason why. But I loved once again they had a great cast, and I loved their chemistry together, and I loved the team. Then they had some good actors on there.
Oh, absolutely.
I love Claire. Oh my God, Claire's character.
Kendall?
Kendall, yes, Miss Morgan. Like Claire is like we know she is like a real actor, like a real artist. So like she took the role seriously, and she did a great job with that character. She was a super bitch to oh my God, I'm forgetting people's names.
Shelby?
Shelby, yes. And then you know, eventually she warmed up to her. I feel like they should have made a bigger deal with how mean she was to Shelby. They should have made a bigger deal of them being, you know, getting on a good level, in a good space. And
You know
also,
what?
it would have been nice if she apologized for being so mean. But
Now that I do, I agree with that. I do think that they should have, they maybe should have had, maybe not even apologize, but maybe just have kind of like a heart to heart with each other, kind of.
that, yeah.
But also too, that part about Kendall, just being nicer to her, not nicer, being meaner. I kind of feel like that was enough. To be honest, I feel like that was enough, because if they would have made her any meaner, it would have came off racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have came off so racist, because I'm sorry, when she was called, like, she kept calling her a waitress over and over and over and over, even though that was her job, it still kind of came off as like, you're the help. Go sit down. You know, like it still kind of came off that way. Even though you know, obviously that's not what it is. But I think that if she was any meaner, it would have really turned into having racial undertones.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they wanted to have that.
I definitely did get that impression. And if anything, I felt like Shelby's character was super, well, not Shelby. Camille's character was super annoying. Like with her like constantly
whatever.
I'm not hating on her character. I'm just saying I found her super annoying. I remember at one point I was like, let it go. She doesn't want you to come along. Like, why are you so insistent on this? Why? What's the reason behind it?
Well, it had to do with what she wanted to do with her life. She was she wanted to be a paleontologist. And that would have been a great learning experience.
Well, if she just watched Ross on Friends, she would have found out that it wasn't all that great. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Wow.
Look how great it turned out for Ross. Let's be honest here. Marry a lesbian, divorced 3 times, lost a boat at the museum when he had sex with Rachel on it. I'm just saying.
Wow. Like, okay. We are not reviewing Friends. I refuse.
You know, I'm just saying. So had she really wanted to know what was up, just watch Friends. She would have been all caught up and realized, man, that's not the life she wanted for herself. I'm totally kidding, but I get it. I knew that's what she wanted to do, but I felt like she became overly pushy. It got to a point where it just sounded more like a nag that she wanted to come along versus like, this is really what I want to do. Please give me an opportunity. And I think it was the way she like presented herself. It was just very like giddy. It was like, please, Miss Morgan, please. I promise I won't do this. I promise I won't do that. I'll be out of your way. You won't even know I was there. It's just like, no. I'm sure there's other
Trying
ways.
to do whatever she's trying to do whatever it takes to get to what
Whatever
she
it
needs to
takes.
get. To get to
Whatever
wherever
it
she needs.
takes.
To get to where she wants to get to.
Whatever it takes. Wink, wink. I think she's knocking up the wrong tree.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna leave that where that is. But when it comes to just the characters of Dino Charge, I feel like they were such well-written characters. And their relationship with one another. They had some real tiffs with each other. It wasn't like all rainbows and butterflies with them. Like they had some stuff with each other sometimes. And it was like, even though, and I like how they handled it, even though they handled it in the episode, they still went back and reflected on it in later episodes, where it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I know we solved this, but I still don't like how you do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like that was always the thing between my favorite gay couple, Chase and Riley. Like, I mean, like that was always their thing. And trust me, do not beat me up. I know they're not gay, but that was always their thing with each other. They constantly always had it out for each other. Like Riley didn't like the way Chase operated. Chase didn't like the way Riley would think about things. It was just always something. Like their personalities were like fire and ice. And I love that about those two. And just like with everybody else, they kind of had their own tips with each other. Like Chase had his thing with Shelby when he was picking on her about the NZ boys. And it was just like, they all
he really
had
hurt
their
her
thing.
feelings. I actually
He
felt bad for
did.
her in that episode.
He did. And like I just love the way Camille acts, because she really felt that thing. Like, I mean, I don't know what place she had to go to in that scene, but you could see the hurt in her eyes. Like you could tell she was
I think she was
broken.
legit like tearing up.
Yeah, like she was broken in that scene. And I'm like, oh my God, this is actual acting. They're actually acting on this show.
Acting.
I'm like, they're really acting on this show. Oh my God, people actually act. But I was just like, wow, like the performances. But yeah, like all of them they all had their own thing that made them go, you know what? Even though we're a team and we're all friends, there's certain things I don't like about you. And I'm gonna let you know. I don't like this about you.
something else I'm thinking about is before you mentioned how over the top Elsa's actress was, but it worked. Of course, we gotta talk about Sir Ivan, who was so over the top, but
when I tell you,
the way Davi played that, oh my God, it was amazing.
When I tell you, I love him.
Yeah.
I loved him. Like,
who would have thought that would have worked?
Who would have thought it would work? First of all, even Coda having a caveman, even having a caveman in present time. It's like, who would think this would work? Like, first of all, when I saw the character descriptions and they said Coda was a caveman, I'm like, this ain't gonna work. This is no. This is gonna be terrible. It's like, what? Because the first thing I thought about, remember the caveman from State Farm, from the insurance, or was it Geico? It, it
I
was
know
like,
what you're talking about. I forgot which it was for.
I
I
can't
remember that.
remember.
Yo, they
But
made a show out of that, remember? And it lasted like an episode.
Yeah, it was something, and it was just like so easy a caveman can do it. And it's like, I was so glad they got rid of that dumb shit because that joke was stupid. But that was the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, ugh, a caveman like that? No. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. And then Yoshi came and just nailed it. I mean, and at first, with him being Asian, I was like, ooh, him talking in this broken English. Ooh, that's such a stereotype.
That's exactly how I was feeling initially.
Right. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. But then, like, I started to warm up to how genuine and how honest he was playing the character, because he wasn't doing like a caricature. Like, he was actually living in that character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, like, I like this character now. Like, Coda became such like a sweetheart. And it's just like,
he had a lot of heart. Yeah.
Like, I like him. And same thing with Ivan. I'm like, as soon as he came out with that character description for Ivan and was like, oh, he's a knight from a different time. What? A knight? Oh no, this ain't gonna work. This is terrible. It's terrible, Your Honor. But it worked. And Davi played it so well. And he was so honest with it and so genuine. And I'm like, this is what we need. This is what we need in Power Rangers. We need that kind of honesty and that kind of acting at all times from everybody. You know, like, it just, oh gosh, like, and I just, first of all, Davi and that accent, loved it. Loved it. I just loved how posh he was. I just loved it. Like, he was just so, my lady. And it was just like, what? I love this guy. I don't know, like, the characters are just done so well. They were done so well.
And I even like the the villains that won't die. Sledge and Poisandra.
Listen, I rolled my eyes so hard just now. I'm pretty sure you probably heard them creaking in my skull.
Oh my god! Like their whole running gag of her wanting to get married, and he's literally making her wait 65 million years to get married, and then eventually she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, we're not getting married," and then she still stayed with him. But I don't know. They made me laugh.
If you look at the realness of their relationship, we all know at least one Porsandra. We all at least know at least one. We know a Porsandra. We do. And I don't know, like, the characters, I really do honestly, genuinely love the villains from Dino Charge. My only thing is, I just wish they would die and stay dead. Like, I don't need another It's a Bomb. I don't need another.
Yo,
I really don't.
Oh my god. The first time that happened legitimately shocked me, because the fact that the good guy planted a bomb on their ship and it actually went off, that was crazy. I did not expect that.
Like, yeah, I agree. Like, there was some things that I was like, whoa. That, like, certain jokes, I was like, well played, Power Rangers, well played. Like, even on the finale, when Sledge hit the It's a Bomb again, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is, and ended up killing Fury. I thought that was hilarious. Like, even though that's really messed up that he actually was imploded by the bomb, but I mean, Fury got like the worst death ever. Like, dude got blown up. That's really messed up. Everybody else, you know, like any other time they came back, it was just like, go away. Like, just don't come back anymore. And I understand that they really probably wanted to get all the use out of that suit because it's the only American-made suit. And they were like, you know what? We're going to use this thing like Lord Zed, honey. And we're going to get our money's worth.
I think by the second time it happened, it was pretty excessive.
Really?
Because he's been, how many times did he come back in the Christmas episode? The super, oh God.
No, he came back in the Halloween. No, it wasn't. Was it a Halloween episode? I know it was an episode where I think it was a Christmas episode. I think it was because I think it was the other Christmas episode of
the second one.
Yeah, the second one of Ninja Steel, where it was the Poise show. Okay. The Poise show, and because remember somehow Sledge ended up in the Ninja Steel world somehow. I don't know, but somehow he ended up in their dimension. And yeah, they had this whole thing with the Poise show, and he also had I believe he also had a "It's a Bomb" joke on that episode too. And I'm just like, oh God. I'm over it. I'm over it already. So yeah, like I'm just not a fan personally of Sledge anymore because I've had enough of him by now. But everybody else, I just was like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. Like, this isn't like these villains aren't bad. I love Poisandra. I love her gay best friend.
Oh my God. Who?
So you telling me that wasn't her gay best friend?
Who?
The little.
What's his name again?
I forgot his little name. The change purse.
I gotta look at that again. I forgot about
that. Gosh, what's his name? Oh my gosh, what was his name? Curio.
That name sounds familiar. I just can't. Curio. Is that a C or a K?
C. He looked like a change purse. Well, his stomach does anyway.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's funny.
Yeah, he was her gay best friend. Like, I mean, like, all of them were like, they were cute. They were cute little characters. So I just feel like everybody was like, was really fun.
Oh my God. I just said his name. Heckle. He was pretty cool.
I liked Heckle, but when they didn't give up his identity.
I liked him when he was coverted.
Yeah, like they
did that way too fast.
Way too fast. I'm like, they could have held this out for like another at least 3 episodes. Like, they really could have slow burned this, but they just hurried up and was like, "Oh, we gotta hurry up and get this out there." And it's like, y'all didn't.
Maybe it was one of those. Maybe it was one of those things where they think that kids don't have attention spans.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, I really wish they would have slow burned it just a little bit. Like, let it cook. Like, let them, get under the Rangers a little more, because it was just kind of like they found out his tea in no time, and I'm like, y'all did this for what? Just to have a whole bunch of one-off episodes that don't make sense? Like, you didn't need to do that.
And I'd like to wrap my part up real quick. I definitely shipped Tyler and Shelby. I thought that was cute, and I like the fact that they actually were like together during at the end of the season, but like there were episodes where they're actually dating. I like that they actually paid that off. And what else did I like? The Tyler's deadbeat dad.
The worst character
found his father, and then his father leaves him again. That's a
First of
shame.
all, Kim, listen, I hate that you brought him up because that's gonna put me, that just made me mad. That man, oh, terrible. First of all, you really gonna okay. Let me start by saying this. So you gonna leave this little boy with his mama, right? After you found this energy, you're gonna leave him with his mama, and you know that Fury is coming after you. But instead of you protecting your family, hell, you could have moved away with your family. You could have moved off. Y'all could have been like, you know what? We need to go somewhere. We need to move. We need to go somewhere. No, you left them. And not only that, you left them, but you won't even write the boy. You don't write him no letters. You don't text. You don't email. You don't phone call. You don't do nothing. You just drop off the face here. I don't care what nobody say. I know this is Power Rangers, and I understand that. Of course, they're like, oh no, he wouldn't do this. I don't care what nobody say. That man had a family on the side. He had himself another woman. I don't care. Because that is the only type of low down, dirty foolishness that a man would just up and leave his family on their own and don't say nothing. Like, you can't tell me. You can't tell me. No. I won't believe it.
What's even more creepier is how he found his son later on. Like, was he
right
this whole time? Like, how does he?
And you ain't say nothing.
Right. He knew he was the Red Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So why the fuck, why the hell didn't you pull him aside and like at that point you know that he can take care of himself. So why the hell would you not interact with him? That's
but not
stupid.
even just that. But like, why the fuck did you need? Sorry, wait, we can swear on here. Sorry.
Yeah, anyway, I held mine in, but
why the heck did you even have to leave your son? Why?
I can somewhat see that because he wanted to keep his son safe and his wife safe, but to
not call
out
or
yeah.
I mean, the boy thought he was dead all this time. Like,
no,
not dead, but he thought he was like missing.
Well, eventually,
he knew he was missing.
I remember there was a point where he kind of was getting to the point because I think Shelby was trying to say like, hey, you haven't seen this man in all this time, and you have to get to a point where you oh my god, words are escaping me. You have to get to a point where you realize like you might not find him. Like he could be dead. And then he like was so mad. But I think he eventually got to that point where he felt that way. And then he found something. Or he got on the trail again. I can't remember.
When he thought that Ivan was his daddy.
Right. Okay. That was so funny when he saw when Ivan materialized and then they're all up in each other's faces like, you're not my dad. And then Ivan's looking at him like, you crazy.
Ivan came out of Fury like, he's talking about some dad. And he's like, Ivan had this look like, what? Dad? I got children?
He said, he probably didn't think I have children. He's probably like, dude, I tied the tubes a long time ago. There's no way I had kids.
God.
Well, I mean, as a knight, I'm pretty sure they a lot of knights. No, I'm thinking of Game of Thrones. Jesus Christ, no. I was gonna say he was probably castrated, but
oh my God.
What?
I have not watched that yet. Wow.
Oh, well,
I didn't know that.
Game of Thrones, honey. There's like a whole like group of, I forget what they're called now. I haven't seen Game of Thrones forever, but like there was a whole group that were literally like the only way you could be a part of their group, their team of warriors, their group of warriors is like you have to be castrated.
That's crazy.
Like you can't have a wee wee. It's like, oh damn, that's messed up. That's so sad. But
yeah.
like, ooh, I don't know if I could ever. I don't think I could ever, honestly. But but yeah, I mean, as a whole, Dino Charge was just. It was one of those seasons where they had like it had the makings of being one of the best seasons ever. And they just dropped the ball so hard. And when they dropped it, especially with the ending, with the just, oh yeah, randomly these crystals can control time. When did you tell us this? Oh, 5 minutes ago. Are you serious? Like, Keeper had this whole thing the entire time, and you didn't tell nobody that, oh,
I mean,
yeah, guess what?
Keeper's creepy ass.
I was just
Keeper
about to
is
say,
definitely the
Keeper's hella
keeper of
creepy.
secrets.
Low key, I think he needed friends. So he created these crystals so that he would have these ranger friends that would keep him like company. I don't know. He's
Yo,
creepy.
the way that he would just pop up out of nowhere
Out of nowhere.
legitimately scared me a couple of times.
Behind
Like,
some
where the hell
dust.
did you come from? With those big ass eyes.
No, with the ET eyes.
Yeah, he looked like ET, yeah.
He looked like dead ass ET. I swear, ET, is this your child? Come get it.
No, seriously. Because, I
Come
mean,
get him.
Keeper was terrible. Oh, I couldn't take Keeper. I couldn't. I could not take Keeper at all. Like, Keeper was just creepy. Like, I'm just like, no. Get this character away from me. But I just couldn't stand the way that they kind of just put this together, and it was just like, yeah, let's just throw this together and just, hand this off and be like, all right, yeah, these things can control time and that's it. It's like, no, that's not a good ending. Like, actually, it's terrible. Don't do that.
I know you two pretty much have the same feelings on Dino Charge, but I don't know. I guess maybe because I binged it all at once, I don't see that much of a difference. Besides, it did seem like certain things were wackier in Super Dino Charge for me. But I didn't hate the ending. I know I'm in minority for that, but
You
I
sure?
just, yeah, I fell in love with the cast, and they were there the whole time. So I don't know. It's weird. I'll do another rewatch at some point, but I
all I have
love.
to say is, Earth was swallowed by a black hole. That's all I have to say. Like, Earth was freaking swallowed by a black hole. They killed everybody, just to let you know. They got everybody killed. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Just
Prefer.
overall, like, your overall feeling with it, including quality, including your own personal, whatever your own personal jush is, like all that from top to bottom.
Oh God, this is
So funny.
but yeah, because of the options thing. Oh my gosh. Um, goodness gracious. I I love Dino Charges for or yeah, Dino Thunder. I think out of the three, it has the best as far as just an overall from start to finish with like consistency. I think that's probably the best out of the three. Then from there, I got I think I have to go with Mighty Morphin because of the nostalgia, and we were with the Rangers for so many years. Um, then Dino Charge, and Dino Charge, I already had some fond feelings for it, but doing the full rewatch, I think last year, I have a lot of respect for it, a lot more respect for it, and enjoyment for it. But my 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 ranking would be Dino Thunder, Mighty Morphin, and Dino Charge.
It would be Dino Thunder, Dino Charge, and then Mighty Morphin.
Ooh.
I didn't see that.
Ooh. You know what? I actually, I think I might have to go with Will on this one. Surprisingly, I have to go with Will. Mine would be Dino Charge. Not just give me. Oh my God, Dino Thunder, Dino Charge, and then Mighty Morphin.
That's what I said.
No, I'm sorry. I just repeated yours. I'm sorry. Dino Thunder, Mighty Morphin, and then Dino Charge. Sorry. Yes, okay. That is what I meant. Oh my God. Yes. I think that's the one I would have to go with, only because of the fact that Dino Thunder, of course, amazing. Mighty Morphin. The gag about Mighty Morphin is just that, like, and not even for nostalgia purposes, but just the fact that everything about it just, if you're going to include all the seasons, a lot of them had some major gems in there, especially season 3, with as far as storytelling. They had some gems in there that was just like, okay, I can kind of rock with this. And plus, I didn't feel offended with their ending. Like, I didn't feel offended by any of their endings, even though they really didn't have endings. But I wasn't offended. When I look at Dino Charge, and the reason why I have to go Dino Charge last is because it started out so strong. And honestly, if it hadn't ended the way it did, Dino Charge would be number 2 for me instead of Mighty Morphin. Dino Charge would be number 2. But that ending, I just couldn't forgive. I could not forgive that ending. It was just like, we literally put all this work into creating such a wonderful show, and then we dropped the ball. And granted, Dino Supercharged did have its moments, but it was still overall like, it's all right. But then you got to this ending where the black hole swallows the earth, and Keeper is like, well, just so you know, girl, these gems, baby, got the power to control time, honey. So I'm going to go ahead and use these gems and throw y'all back into the Stone Age. What? Are you serious? I said Stone Age. Prehistoric Age. Are you serious? No. No. So I'm like, I can't. I have to. That Mighty Morphin didn't even do nothing to offend me that badly. I mean, it was just like, and Mighty Morphin had his moments. It definitely had his moments. But wow, that was just no bueno. So that's my thing. Dino Thunder, Mighty Morphin, Dino Charge. And also, you listeners, let us know what you think. Let us know. Which one is your order? Do you think, which ones would you put in order? Mighty Morphin, Dino Charge, or Dino Thunder? Or excuse me, I just switched the two, but a whole lot of dinos up in here. And also, just to also let you guys know, now we are recording the week before HasbroCon. And at the time of this recording, when you actually hear this, HasbroCon will be going on. So make sure that you support. Please, if you already haven't, which I know a lot of you will, please definitely check out the interview with Black Nerd Comedy. He will be doing an interview with the Beast Morphers cast, so definitely check it out. There's going to be a lot of gems and a lot of cool stuff that they're probably going to definitely talk about. So definitely look into that. And also, next week, they will probably also introduce the Dino Charge cast. So, yes, honey, they are probably going to go ahead and introduce this cast, which we will, if they do, we will talk about it on the next episode. So, check it out. And once again, if you really like the content, please like and subscribe. Tell a friend even. Tell them all about our jokes, our antics, how much we love to cuss, because I know people love cursing. They love dark stuff. So, they love dark humor. So, tell them to like and follow and listen to us and subscribe. We love that. And also, too, I got homework for y'all. You, Lena, Will, I got homework. Tell at least one friend to like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube and or our SoundCloud.
Okay.
At least one friend. Because I'm gonna do it.
My friends.
I'm gonna do it.
You already subscribed.
Well, you know what? Oh yeah, Lena, that's right. You did. Will, okay.
I don't have any more friends. You guys are
it. And you did actually. I remember you already did do that with a lot of your friends. So that's true. Will, who from your friends list like and follow our podcast?
One of my best friends actually does. She put us in her story last week. I was so surprised.
Yes, come through. Okay, all right. Well, once again, if for any of you, like I said before, if you're listening, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your peoples. Hey, this is a brand new podcast. Well, we're not brand new. We've been around for 2 years. But, we still here. We didn't really do much last year, but we're doing a whole lot this year. And we're going to continue doing more. And keep listening to us so you can see what else we're going to do. Because we might even surprise you. You never know what's coming down the pipeline when it comes to these interviews. So, continue to listen. And thank you for supporting us. My name is Brandon.
I'm Lena.
I'm Will.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.